Hi, this is On Imagination with some really weird shit. I think that's it. That's it. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write that down. This is On Imagination with some really weird shit. I think that's what I've been needing to say for a very long time. With some really weird shit. You are not. My daughter has a bag of Doritos, and I'm just sitting here. She knows I'm live, and then I hear crunch, 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 and I'm like, and she's just standing there eating them, crunching, watching me. That's sound effects. That really relieves a whole lot of On Imagination with some really weird shit. Like, that is like a get out of jail free card. That's what I've been looking for. That's why I'm so vague. It's okay. So On Imagination really leaves a lot for the imagination. I know it does. And that's the point. When I went through Manhattan, when I backpacked through all of Manhattan for a year, barefoot with my, I backpacked through Manhattan. Some people backpack through Europe. Nope. I decided to do my backpacking in 17 miles of stainless steel epicness. Oh, the great times I had. Oh, let me tell you, I slept in Central Park. I did. I had a raccoon. Did you know that there are raccoons in Manhattan? There are. And I went, oh, there's a little family of raccoons under that rock. And everyone was like, oh my God, you can sleep in Central Park. Why? It's dangerous. No. Central New York is dangerous. Manhattan is like a kindergarten room. Like, trust me, Manhattan is not dangerous. Central New York is dangerous, but definitely not Manhattan. That was the first thing I had to learn when I got here. And I went, this place is easy. This is so cute. I mean, don't get me wrong. You still have Manhattan Survivor, but it's still nothing in comparison to Central New York. That is what we call hell on earth. Only I think hell would be a lot easier than what I went through. So that's like, and then there's people who've been up there with the Finger Lakes region. They're like, oh, it's beautiful. No, it's a delusion. Don't go there. Like, you have no idea. It was so filled with pedophiles that when I moved away, I went, where are all the pedophiles? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And that took me like 3 years to figure out that apparently you're not supposed to live around a bunch of pedophiles. And that was my first clue that things were really fucking bad. That was my first clue. And that's when it started to scare me. And then when I talked to my mom about it, she went, no, there was only these people and these people and these people and these people. And then there were these people and these people. Oh yeah, he also, and she literally had more than 20 names that she could give me on a dime. I said, Mom, Central New York is literally like a pedophile ring. What are you doing? Well, no, it's, do the math, Mom. Why are you making excuses for it? And it was amazing to watch her weave all of the same tricks that my subconscious moved on me. The subconscious mind uses tricks on you. And if you don't know how the subconscious mind moves and thinks and acts, you're probably under one right now. I met my partner in 2021. And within 3 months, I started to notice him showing symptoms of Alzheimer's. I had studied psychopathy. You can't study mental illness without running all over the place into the physical. You can't. I am a firm believer that Alzheimer's is an advanced mental condition. I am certain of it. I just watched my grandfather die of it. I watched my grandmother come down with it. And now I'm watching my partner in the early stages. And I'm going, Alzheimer's is a mental illness. Alzheimer's is a mental illness, I believe, that has deteriorated the mental brain so much that the physical brain is now deteriorating, because I know what the life code looks like. And everywhere I see the life code, I see the code that is identical to everything that integrates. And when things disintegrate, there is a code, and I can see it. And that code is what is inside every rot, every consumption, everything. It's extraordinary. It is a mutation of the life code. I can see the mutation, a single mutation, literally the thing. It needs a name. It's the thing that comes before disease. It's the common denominator of all diseases. I found the common denominator of all disease. That's what I'm trying to say to people. I found the common denominator of physical disease. I found the common denominator of mental illness. And I found out that mental illness comes first. Mental illness causes all disease. And when I ran back through the logical code 18 billion times over again, it was absolutely undeniable. 100% of all injury and disease is caused by mental illness. Who ever told you that we were ever mentally healthy? It's not new. It's very old. It's so old that we thought it was normal. Disease is not normal. Disease is an abnormality. Oh, it is. It is such an abnormality. The thing is, if it's abnormal, it is not natural. The question is, where does it start? It's not natural. Either it's natural or it's not natural. Natural is everything working with an equilibrium. Doesn't that sound right? Because Mother Nature is a real bitch when it comes to her equilibrium, right? We all know that shit. Mother Nature has a serious relationship with her equilibrium. So then why is there disease? Because that doesn't make sense. Disease is officially illogical. You have no idea. In my world, it is purely illogical. It doesn't make sense. All of them. None of them make sense. Bacteria infection makes sense. But then why is the subconscious mind behaving like it has a bacterial infection? Because that's what it's doing. In fact, the symptoms are identical. It's extraordinary. Same stages, same breakdown, same everything. No one has noticed the similarity between the subconscious mind and biology, and they are identical. It's extraordinary. It's one of the most amazing patterns I have ever seen. And yeah, it's fucking extraordinary. So either it's not natural, which is illogical, or it's natural, which is logical. And I saw this very, very clear thing, smaller than a chromosome, smaller than anything you've ever imagined before. You cannot imagine something this small, because it is the last small before big begins. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's even in the chromosome itself where you can see the greater, it's the less than, a seed, and then the greater than. And it's the most beautiful thing there is. And it's just on this constant replay through everything, everywhere in all the universe. And it's just so fucking beautiful. And you can see how everything just branches from that one little bit of code. That is logic. That is absolutely pure logic. The pattern is what everybody has been studying, but they didn't know what they were studying. You were studying when you the very first time you walk into a logical classroom or philosophy, you are stepping into what we call Plato's point. That is the point in which you shut up and listen. That is Plato's point. And that is the point where you never talk, you use Socratic method only, and you humble. And then once you step into Plato's point, it expands. Oh, the world opens up. One generational stage at a time. And every one of those generational stages contains all the components of all of the world. And then when you integrate them, because you start to see how they connect and interconnect, you see that next layer, and it's just, you realize then that everything is just a greater whole of a greater whole. And then you can stand and look down and you can see how one idea always spans out in integration. It's so beautiful. It is the most beautiful thing. I can see all the stages of integration and all the stages of disintegration, all of them, because I can see all of everything, because I can see the smallest, which is also the largest. It's extraordinarily beautiful. And it just went on forever in this massive loop, a spiral, not a loop at all, a spiral. And I'm like, why the fuck is there a spiral? And it was going left. It always goes left. It always goes left. It must go left. And then I was able to zoom out. And when I zoomed out, I realized that I was just where you guys were, except I could see all of it. But then I zoomed down and I'm right with you guys again. And I do this all the time. I can go up, I can go out, I can go, and I can see how things move on every scale. So when I can't see certain things, you can understand how it really scares the shit out of me. And I couldn't tell if, I could not tell. There's my answer. I was looking for that. If it wasn't happening because he wasn't going to be with me, or if I could not write him into my future until he made a decision. Because when I make a wish, I get it. And I couldn't do that with him. I could never find a way to make a wish that would not automatically, that's not ethical. I couldn't do it. So the irony of manifestation is you cannot manifest for your own advantage. You can only manifest for everyone else's advantage. But what if it were the other way? What if we could only manifest good things? For ourselves. Like a genie wish. That's something that I've been thinking a lot about. Is genies. More and more, I'm starting to believe they're real. So when I did all the calculations, I could not. Do you want to know the etymology to the word patient? The true meaning of what birthed the word patient? Suffering. Just suffering. Patient is the Latin word for suffering. Be patient means suffer. Be patient. I'm trying to be patient. Why is it taking so long? Oh, just be patient. No, I don't want to be patient. I am going to be so impatient. You have no idea. I will never be patient again. Oh, I will never again be patient. Truth comes out when you study the etymology of the word. Oh, fuck patience. So here's how spell work works. This is exactly how it works. Because it's science. I love my shit. All right, so here's what this goes on. Here's what this goes on. That's why Yoda spoke like this. He was speaking too fast. That makes so much sense now. Yoda was speaking so fast that he started to speak backwards. That makes sense. All right. So when I was doing this research I was doing back 3 years ago, there was absolutely no way I could deny what I put together, that my partner had early Alzheimer's. And my subconscious mind had already done the work and the research that I did 3 years ago. And I knew, like I already did the math, it was so fast. And my subconscious mind immediately blocked it out and just wiped it from my memory. And everything just went downhill from there. Just downhill from there. He kept telling me it was his mental illness, and I believed him. It wasn't his mental illness. See, I knew mental illness like the back of my hand. And he was an anomaly. That should have tipped me off, that I wasn't dealing with the psychological brain anymore. Because I could see literally, and I tracked it down to where the psychology ends and the physical began. And this is the part that made me cry. I saw where the psychology merges with the physical, right in the brain. And I went, oh, do you know what a synapses is? A synapses is the little connector, like a transmitter and a radio, of reception and transmission. Those are called synapses in your brain. You have billions of them all over your brain. It's how the brain works. Every time you think, they go tickle, tickle, tickle. Every time you see, they go tickle, tickle. They are going tickle, tickle, tickle all day long. That's all they do. They're synapses. And they're fucking fast. Until they're not. Every time one of these gorgeous little synapses goes off, it's literally like electrical current. Okay, it is electrical current. This is electrical energy. So that electrical energy goes back and forth. Now, while it's doing this, it's literally playing the piano with your brain. And it is. It's playing the piano with your brain. So while it's playing the piano with your brain, it unlocks the hormones. And now you've got this gorgeous chemical energy. Now, all of that beautiful electrical energy gets converted over into chemical energy. They have sex. After that happens, the hormones come together like a chemistry lab. Exactly like a chemistry lab. And do you know what chemistry is? It's where things go boom. Well, imagine a boom so small that not even scientists have found it yet. So that when the chemicals of your hormones come together, things go boom. And now you've got an emotion. Hello, emotions. Emotional energy. It's fucking amazing. It's almost as if I can see the science before they invent it. I can see it before they invent it. It's taken me a while to get here. I wonder if I'm manifesting them finding this. They are going to find magic soon. This is going to sound really malicious, but they would do the same thing in my position because they're scientists. It's kind of our sense of humor. Oh my God, I could puppet all the scientists at the same time with my mind. So that all I have to do is sit back and say, this is what they're going to discover next. Archaeologists, find me some dragon bones in the UK. I want dragon bones in the UK because that's logical. That is logical. I want dragon bones in the UK. So I'm going to wish it. You're going to watch it pour out on the news. God, that's so much easier than anything I came up with before. I just got to sit there and tell you. I started to notice this a while ago. I'm sitting here going, no. This is going to happen. And then boom, it did. I saw Ukraine. I saw Gaza. Gaza happened and I went, yep. That's two. For me, it was a countdown. And that's when I started to get really, really scared because I can see mathematical patterns. And I saw how bad this gets. And that's probably the reason why I'm the only one who's scared. Because right now, the perspective scope is doing this. And we're playing Russian roulette. Sometimes we're going to make it, sometimes we're not. And I'm watching. And I'm not freaking out on my own. I'm watching you guys, and I'm reading you. And I'm reading everybody, and I'm going, I'm scared. The synapses sends receivers back and forth between point A and point B. That sends off that current, gets turned over into your emotional energy. Now that comes inside of you and it stores up. We will be finding out how very soon. As it stores up, it's exactly potential energy. So it's going to get more and more and more. It only has a certain amount of potential energy it can hold. This is called your surplus. This is your surplus of potential energy. At a certain storage point, it pops. Now, you've got three kinds of people in this world. You've got the people who like to go, oh, no, I got to suppress that and hold that down. Physics has a lot of things to say about you. And then there's the other kind of people who are like, I'm just, and then they just shrink under the pressure of it all and they are consumed by it. And then there's the people who just conduit it. Conduit. You conduit. You conduit. That's right, guys. You conduit. Welcome to Anna's weird shit where you conduit. Oh, you have no idea how bad the jokes are going to get. You have no fucking idea. I may have just found humor. Oh my God, is that what's been missing from me? Laughter? No. Oh, I think I found humor. I've never had humor before. No wonder why I didn't recognize it. That's why laughter interacts with it. Did you know that laughter interacts with humor? Mm-hmm. I can feel it. I'd never felt it before. I never felt it before. He made me laugh. He made me laugh. He made me laugh. And it cured me. He was the only one who could make me laugh. The right way, the way that you feel it all the way down deep. He made me laugh. That's what laughter feels like. I just can't believe it. I can't. I was so sad when Robin Williams died. I was so sad. I grew up with that man making me laugh. I learned real young that he would make me laugh. Aside from all of Britain, no one else could make me laugh. That's funny, Americans. You can laugh. British humor. Oh, I did not laugh for 12 years. The first 12 years of my life, I did not laugh. I have pictures of me going when I was a child. This, yes. Like I did not laugh. I thought there was something wrong with me. Until I met a friend named Kate and I went to her house and she introduced me to BBC. And then everything in the world was funny. Everything in the world was hilarious. Oh, and I went, oh my God, I'm not broken. I'm British. That's all. That's all. That's what I got. That's what I got from my heritage. Aren't I lucky? I could not figure out what the fuck heritage was because I never had it. I am a white American, which means we erase the parent, destroy, and build anew with every generation. That's where I was raised. But I'm Irish and Scottish, and that doesn't suit well with my people. Like we don't compute that way. It is so anti-Irish. It's like everyone in the world went, excuse you? You want me to do what now? It's like the only group of people who doesn't like sever ties and break apart. It was the most extraordinarily strong family bond I had ever seen in my life. Until the British side of my family annihilated the Irish side of my family. So I am a product of, how do I call this? Inter-prejudice, inter-home racism. Imagine growing up in a home where you are a black and a white child mixed. Mom is black and dad is white, and they have racial wars on each other. That is what raised me. That is exactly what raised me. The racism was so bad that it was between the husband and the wife. But I was Irish. And I was also British. I wasn't the right kind of white. So the British side of my family married an Irish, and they completely destroyed her family and pushed them out. And then they whitewashed my mother's white Irish everything. And we were all British and English children and German, and we were not allowed to talk about the Irish side, except I am Ireland. Like, I am Ireland. That is what a heritage is. Your heritage are the pieces of your ancestry that come with you. This has probably been the most confusing thing for everybody. It's not inherited. It's not at all inherited. It's not like that. It's not the words. I got to put them around for the right side of the mirror. Give me a minute. It doesn't come from your parents. It comes from you. Your heritage does not come from your parents. Your heritage comes from within. Your heritage comes from within. We have so many blended cultures and races and people now that it's not healthy to be prejudiced. It never was. But it's really not healthy to be prejudiced now. And when you're prejudiced, it's when the self hates the self. The problem is, I have mastered the integration and disintegration sciences. And I can see how we are all so identical. It's disgusting. We're all the same. Like, really, truly, all the same. The only thing that's different between all of us is our identity. It's the only original thought we all had, is our identity. And that's really it. You have your identity. And she has never had a voice, most likely. But I speak identity fluently. And I talk to mine all the time. And sometimes she does what she wants and I celebrate. But your heritage is also going to talk. And that's the part that a lot of people don't understand, is that heritage is part of you. Heritage is one of your mental systems. That is amazing. That is what family is. It's your heritage. It is your heritage. Your heritage is the part of your past that leads you back to your point of origin. That way, if you ever lose the parent, mother country, whichever one that is, you can always find your way back home. Which tells me that heritage is the source of your power. Which means your heritage is literally what just grounds you to the earth. I am guessing. Because my heritage is Ireland. And that is where my magic is from. Oh, this is Irish magic. The Irish spent a lot of time in ancient Greece. That's the best part. They spent a lot of time. How I got to be this way, knowing so much about psychology, biology, heritage, all this. I picked up a seed and I chose to put it into my mind and then nourish it to grow. Those synapses that go off inside of your brain, like little receptors and transmitters, are sending electricity back and forth. Every time they do it, at least 140,000 times a day, at least. You're doing it right now. Stop it. You have these receptors going back and forth. Every time they do, there are deposits that get left behind. Those deposits literally have to be there and they have to be regulated. The mitochondria regulates them. The regulation means, true to Mother Nature, she loves to have her balance. So I got deposits. I want 5 on this side. I want 5 on the other side. I want the balance. All right. Because they're a mirror. Because they have to mirror each other. Always. That's why everything's balanced. Because we're in a mirror. Because it'd be freaking cool if we were like a beam of light that just went ba-doing, 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 ba-doing for all eternity. Wouldn't that be cool? So, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm going to love saying that. So you have these equal deposits sitting at the base of the synapses firing. There is all the diseases that ever occur anytime, anywhere, happening on one side when you have a surplus, except lupus and cancer. Lupus and cancer comes when there is a deficit over here, and everything else happens when there is a surplus over there. That is where your disease comes from. I am currently reverse engineering disease. Apoptosis is cell disintegration. Apoptosis is disintegration. Mitosis is integration. What would flip a brain from going from mitosis over to apoptosis? Wow, that's easy. Logic. That's exactly what it is. That's the reverse of the logic, because logic integrates. Therefore, illogic disintegrates. Correct. Which means there is disintegration happening, which means there is illogic happening, because everything that disintegrates has lost its logical order. So what is the logical order? The logical order is mental illness comes first. Because there is a lot of things happening inside the mind that we can't see until it gets to the outside. By the time it gets to the physical outside, it starts to eat away at the brain. In fact, it's eating away at the brain, which is why it's changing the outside. I had an MRI done a few years ago, and my 44-year-old brain looks like it's 20. My 44-year-old brain looks 20, according to neuroscientists. My 22-year-old brain has experienced over 5 epiphanies a day. 5 epiphanies a day, every day, for my entire life. At least, I would say on a slow day, it was 2. On a high day, it was 5. The faster it goes, the faster my synapses goes. The problem is the regulation of your brain is epiphany. Epiphany to neurons. You are allowed, scientists, listen up. You are allowed only X amount of synapses per perspective before X synapses per perspective before epiphany occurs. An epiphany washes the brain. Epiphany washes the brain. I wash my brain literally 2 to 5 times a day. I can feel it flushing my whole brain. It's doing it right now. I have been able to feel chemicals on my brain for over 30 years, to the point where I can now feel, I can almost reverse engineer the chemicals in my brain just by their location, in the order and operation in which I think. Yeah, this is some really fucking heavy shit, and it's pretty fucking cool. Yeah. And as a result, I know that there are X amount of synapses you are allowed per perspective before an epiphany occurs. Now, if it doesn't occur, then disintegration begins. Not learning is killing you. The epiphany washes the whole brain and wipes away those mineral deposits that fire off your synapses. And it should be washing your brain X amount of synapses per perspective. Now, there's growth rates in there. So I haven't, let's try it. It's not only X synapses per perspective. It also should be time. Nope, the frequency is speed. Speed. That's right. There's going to be a speed factor in there. That's what it is. It's velocity. It speeds up. So the rate and the frequency of the first perspective, approximately 9 hertz. At the 12th perspective, I'm sorry, no, at the fourth perspective, it's at 12 hertz. Ten, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So if you're not having an epiphany, then your synapses is going to be firing off. And the more it fires off, the more you're going to have dysregulation without a cleanse. But if you're not learning to get an epiphany, then you won't cleanse. So that continues to build up until finally there's an imbalance. And then apoptosis begins. From your not learning, those deposits built up, and now it's gotten to a point where you triggered apoptosis, which tells the body, oh, this isn't being used. We need to reject it. It is referred to as resource partitioning. Resource partitioning is when an organism recognizes a part of the body that is not being used, and it decides it is obsolete and needs to be rejected from your body. You are deteriorating because your body has registered that you are not using your brain, and therefore it has decided to resource partition your brain. You are officially so stupid that your body has rejected your brain. That's the diagnosis, guys. I know how to fix it. But that is the diagnosis. That is what we've all got. Please pass that on to the scientists. They'll make the connection. Look at the mitochondria. My first suggestion is this. Can we replicate the epiphany hormone and flush the brain with it? Can we try giving some people some sort of brain flush or a brain wash? Also, can we measure exactly at what mental illness is aligned to how many and what the ratio is of those deposits under the brain? Although I hypothesize that that only happens under the condition of emotional suppression, something that occurs when you suppress your emotional energy. So when the chemical reaction flips over to emotional energy and it comes inside you, it absorbs right into the brain tissue. It absorbs right into the brain tissue. Your brain is where all your energy is. It's not throughout your body. It's in your brain. You've stored all of your energy in your brain. Wow. I couldn't figure it out. The energy doesn't move down into my brain. No, not for me. For me, the energy moves in through my feet and up through my body. My daughter, the energy comes up through her feet and up through her body. But that takes brain energy. And if you're not using your brain, your third eye, then you're not going to be generating any energy up. So what's going to happen is you're going to start pulling from the top, and it's going to start feeding down to try and give you brain energy. What do you have now? You can feel the energy coming down into your brain and down, because that's where a resource partitioning requires the most nutrients first. That's all it is. That is all it is. Resource partitioning of the brain. You have resource partitioning of the brain. This is real fucking science, people. Resource partitioning of the brain. due to a breakdown of logic. That then prevented comprehension, which then triggered amnesia, which then, focus, Anna. Amnesia happened. And the forgetting, the memory, and then the present disintegrates. When it gets to present disintegration, I live in the abstract. I know exactly what happens at the present. The present is actually the materialization stage. There are 3 worlds here. Hello, people who study the cosmos, you're going to love this. You have 3 invisible realms here, not 1, not 2. There are 3 of us. The materialization plane is the present plane. The conceptual plane. I finally get to do cosmos. My God, this took a long time to get out here. Of course the cosmos are going to be way out here. Did he call astrology? He called astronomy. He did. Plato's astronomy is ontology. I did the same thing. I thought that was ontology until I got here and I went, oh, no. This is cosmos, which means, oh, that's astronomy. No, it's not astronomy after all. It's called ontology. So there it is, ontology. And then cosmos. Cosmos is at the 47th. Oh, I get to see the cosmos now. Yeah. All right. I'm so concerned about the science that I don't give a shit about the view. I love the view. The view is the best thing about this journey, is it unlocks the next piece and you can see the whole universal clock and you're like, this thing is so fucking gorgeous. Sunsets can go kiss my ass. This is beautiful. All right. So you've got the materialization plane, which is the present. You have the conceptual plane, which is the future. These are the wrong words, but these are the right words. And there is the plane prior to that, which is the memory plane. Oh, the memory plane is the past. Now, when you have any kind of a physical disease and you've deteriorated to this point, basically it is the equivalent of the logic breaks down, which breaks down comprehension. When you break down comprehension, you break down the past. That's when you have your memory starting to break down. After your memory breaks down, it moves into the present, which is the materialization. That's when you can see the disease, finally. And then you no longer can be at the point of conception. You never made it to your future. See how that works? This is time travel. This is how it's done, people. It's going to be so fucking cool. I'm going to teach you how to time travel because that's going to be the cure to this world. You got to time travel. You really do. It's fucking awesome. And I'm going to use movies to show you how it's done because the clues are in Back to the Future because that's where I got my idea. I made the flux capacitor because when I was like 8, because I was that kid watching Back to the Future and I went, oh my God, I want to know how Doc does it. Boom, I got it. And I went, yeah, I know how to do it. This is not at all like what I thought it would be. Doc was just so wrong, but he got the flux capacitor right. Cool. The Philosopher's Compass is the flux capacitor. It's really fucking awesome. It's really fucking awesome. My daughter was watching it the other day and she's like, Mom, this is your life. Yeah, I know. But and she's like looking at it like, this is, and I'm like, it's my work. I know it's my work. And well, I saw this and I just love the movie so much. And I just went, oh my God, I love this. We're going to get Indiana Jones here. You have no idea. We're going to get Jurassic Park. We're going to get everything. Because every time I watched a movie, I said, I want it to be real. And then poof, here it is. I'm living it. So yeah, we are making my way through all of my favorite movies. You have no idea. That's right. Now here's the best part about magic. You also made your wishes. So you're going to make all of your wishes. Stop competing with me, guys. It works like this. You're going to make all of your wishes. You already have. And when you start remembering, they're going to come true. And there's going to be some really fucking weird shit happening. And you're going to go, oh my God, I can see Anna's wishes and I can see my wishes and I can see how they're coming together. Oh yeah. So the more you heal, the more you wake up, the more weird shit gets to happen. Like, you see where this is going. And I'm like, come on, guys, wake up. Wake up. I want to go play. And I'm looking at the weird thing happening over there. And I'm going, guys, please. And what was great is over the last week, there has been confirmed reports that aliens do exist. There has been some really fucking weird shit happening in archaeology. They have discovered a new island with an entirely new, untouched piece of pieces. We're going to find new animals we've never discovered before. Yeah, that happened twice already. We also found another piece of land under the water that's rising up again. And I believe Atlantis is back. So that would have been my wish. That would have been me. Atlantis coming back, she's mine. I'm the one who did that. Just saying. Because I was the kid going, I want Atlantis to come back. I want to walk the halls of Atlantis. Probably because she was my city. That's most likely what it was. She was my city. Now I have to Google her. What was Atlantis? Why did it sink? That is an anomaly. And now I have a huge motive. And I know the culprit. Let's take a look. And I know Vitruvius. I was asking the question, what happened to Atlantis? When did she sink? I know what those bastards did. Mentioned in Plato's work, Allegory on the Hubris of Nations. In the story, Atlantis is described as a naval empire that ruled all of a naval empire. That sounds like something I would build. It started with my 5 cruise ships because there's no rules in maritime law. I could have a whole island. I'm going to create Atlantis. I did it once. I will do it again. All right. Fuck the 5 cruise ships. I'm going to have Atlantis. She will be mine. Atlantis. I hereby deem this will be my very first ship. Atlantis, the HMS Atlantis. All right, I got this. So that's my manifestation. Booyah. Naval empire that ruled all western parts of the known world, making it the literary counter image of the, ooh, that's interesting. Does that look interesting? The Zoroastrian Empire feuded with the naval empire. King Solomon's wisdom went against Atlantis. I know warfare. That was a test for the weakness. Test the weakness. That is a military move. That is military. That is so military. Atlantis, they went against Solomon's wisdom. They went against the wizards. They went against the mages. And Atlantis sank. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, the Romans watch, and they see the power of Solomon. I knew Solomon's temple was the real reason they launched the Crusades. Solomon's temple had this knowledge. It's the knowledge of life. It's the knowledge of creation. It's the knowledge of creation. That is what this knowledge is. I found the creation code, and I know how to use it. I want that on a mug. I have the creation code, and I know how to use it. So, if we can replicate the chemical of epiphany and give like a brainwash until people learn how to do this on their own. Now, it really needs to be learned on the own. I can teach this. This is what I do. This is all, it's all done. Everything is all done for you. It's all free. It's all automated. All you have to do is go through the program. This is just an hypothesis. But I have logically removed all other possibilities. And this is really logically the only explanation left. That's how I found the truth. It was a process of elimination of everything. And when I broke down the summation of everything, I found the creation code. And I can see all of integration and disintegration right down to the first form, which still doesn't have a name. We really need to name this thing. Breath. It's a breath. I found the breath in science. Wow. Wow. I wasn't sure what to call it. I cannot think of any better name. I found your name. Its name is breath. This is amazing. Atlantis took on the mages. After an ill-fated attempt to conquer ancient Athens, Atlantis falls out of favor with the deities and submerges into the ocean. Since Plato describes Athens as resembling his ideal state in the Republic, doesn't that sound like a political cover-up? Right there. That sounds like a political cover-up. After they had a falling out, yeah, Like, that is exactly what that reeks of. They've got dirty politicians in ancient Greece. I can just, after an ill-fated attempt to conquer ancient Athens, and I'm looking at that going, no, 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 no. I'm looking at that. Why do we slap our children when they're born? Why don't we tickle them? Can anyone please tell me why we're not thinking to tickle the infants instead of slapping them? Just curious if anyone's even tried that first. You know, that would be great. If the next time a doctor delivered a baby, instead of slapping the child, he tickles the child. Just curious if anyone's tried playing with a child. So the first thing the child does is laugh instead of cry. You know, that's probably where it all started. We're born and the first thing we do is cry. Why aren't we laughing? Because no one's tickling the babies. They're all beating the babies. Why the fuck are you sickos beating the babies? I mean, if you have to medically, okay, great, beat the babies. But if it's not for medical purposes, and I'm going, you guys just monkeyed that, didn't you? Centuries and centuries of Neanderthal, you know, things like that. And here we are, still copying the same behavior like a bunch of Neanderthals. So I'm looking at shit like this and I'm going, has anyone tried tickling the child ever? Does anyone tickle the child upon its birth? Nope, into the world and we beat them. And the first thing a human being says is, ah! So let's try tickling the child. Just saying. That would be nice. Since Plato describes Athens as resembling his ideal state in the Republic, the Atlantis story is meant to bear witness to the superiority of his concept of a state. Despite its minor importance in Plato's work, the Atlantis story has had a considerable impact on literature. The allegorical aspect of Atlantis was taken up in utopian works of several Renaissance, blah, blah, blah. We know. On another hand, 19th century amateur scholars misinterpreted, yeah, of course they did. Yeah, that's the shitty education coming through. While present day philologists, what is a philologist? Philology is the study of language in oral and written historical sources. Ooh. It is the intersection of textual criticism, literary criticism, history, and linguistics with strong ties to etymology. Philology is also defined as the study of literary texts and oral. I've done this! I've done all of this. This is like most of my studies. Philology. Love of word. Oh, yeah, that's what got all this started. It was. I remember the day I met her. Oh, word. I fell so fucking in love with word. Not that word, the other word. Oh, my God, I loved word. Oh, palabras. My favorite word in Spanish is palabras. I'm like, best was palabras. Palabras. I'm just like, yes. So yeah, apparently I'm a philolophile. Philolophile sounds like a falafel. So philology, love of word. Actually, it's just this is word logic is actually what it means. But I'm just this is so beautiful. No, the ancient Greek's word for logia was word. I forgot. Logia means word. Magic was magi, wisdom. Logic was spell word. Logi, spell word. Magi, I am a logi. That's why I couldn't find anything on the text. There were none. There were going to be some, but they never made it. A magi can divine, can manifest. A logi can cast spells. A logi can cast spells, which is why my ethics have been doing what they've been doing to me. They've been twisting me in some real logical corners. You guys won't be able to touch this. No, not until you're at this level logic. So I'm going to explain it to you. Once you understand the code, and so once you surpass logic to the point where you are a pure logician, and you reach the study of philology, which apparently, I mean, it's what I studied. I have a lot to, this is my first time hearing this, but I've done all of this and I'm so excited. And I'm like, that's actually what I went through was philology. You know whose fault that was? Professor Higgins. I fell in love with him so hard. I love that man. Rex Harrison was fucking amazing. He was amazing. So amazing. I loved everything about him. And then when he did, oh my God, like I can't even think straight. My favorite love story was My Fair Lady. The King and I. I loved those stories so much. And Dr. Dolittle. I absolutely fell in love with those three characters. Those three men pursued sciences like I had never seen. At the end of The King and I, the king actually dies because he doesn't understand love. He couldn't find a scientific answer for it. And that drove me crazy because I couldn't find a scientific answer for it. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die because he died and he could. And I had already been trying to find the answer to this question since I was 4 years old. And I was 15 going, oh, I'm fucked. I haven't found it in like 9 years and he's dying and he didn't find it. So there was a grim time of my life. And I watched My Fair Lady. And that turned my brain on to word on such a level. Everything was word. So I fell right into logic, like word. And it's all the same. It's the breath. But you can see the breath. You can see the logical composition. And now you can see and know how to literally build the creation code. So what would you do if you had a combination of the breath, the logic code, and the creation code? That's a lot of power for one person. That is too much power for one person. So a good manifestation for this, a good rule for this would be I cannot manifest anything for myself to gain. I cannot manifest for myself to gain. So I officially am at a point where I can't manifest for myself. I have to manifest for everybody else, which is fine. I'm fine with that. The part that has me bothered is I don't know how to go from here. I have never not written code. I was 4 playing with the code. I remember the first time I got to a point where I clicked it and it just went, and I went, whoa, I built something. I've been building this since I was 4 years old. This is what this thing is. Oh my God. I was doing this at 4. I went back to that code to make sure it was all right. And it was this realization of, so I cannot make wishes for me. I mean, I can make wishes, but I can't grant them. I have to have a grantor to make my wishes come true, so to speak. So I'm still trying to figure out a way around that logically, but I haven't been able to find one yet. I can manifest knowledge. That is something I am allowed to have. I'm only allowed to manifest knowledge. Sometimes I really wish someone would go first. I would love to turn the reins over to somebody and just rest. And I think, I don't know yet. Philology. The term philology is derived from the Greek, from the terms philos, love, affectionate, loved, beloved, dear, friend. Philo is friend. And logos, word, articulation, reason, describing a love of learning, of literature, as well as argument and reasoning, reflecting the range of activities included under the notion of logos. The term changed a little with the Latin philologia and later entered the English language in the 16th century from the Middle French philologie in the sense of love of literature. The adjective philologos meant fond or of discussion or argument talkative. In Hellenistic Greek, also implying an excessive, sophisticate preference of argument over the love of true wisdom. Oh, a sophistic. Aha. A sophistic. That's a word we need in our culture. We're going to pull this one right back out of the history books and drop it right into the world. Sophistic. We're going to get this. Sophistic. Sophistic is someone who prefers argument over the love of true wisdom. A sophistic is someone who loves argument or prefers argument over the love of true wisdom. I know way too many sophisticates in my life. We're going to call that sophisticate abuse. How many of you have suffered from sophisticate abuse? I have had substantial abuse from sophisticate abuse. And I studied logic, so I know the right ways and the wrong ways. That was one of my draws toward logic, was the amount of sophisticate abuse I underwent. I couldn't even breathe. It was an abuse on a level. as an allegory of literary erudition, philologia, philologia appears in the 5th century, 400s, post-classical literature Martianus Capella, the philology of Mercury, the birth and philology of Mercury, an idea revived in late medieval literature of Chaucer Lydgate. The meaning of love of learning in literature was narrowed to the study of the historical development of languages, historical linguistics, in the 19th century of the term. Due to the rapid progress made in understanding sound, laws, and language change, the golden age of philology lasted throughout the 19th century, or from Giacomo Leopardi and Friedrich Schlegel to Nietzsche. Comparative linguistics, branch of philology, studies the relationship between languages, similarities between this I've studied. I've done this. I've done all of this. That's when I studied the Proto-Indo-European pie chart. I was comparing evolution. Well, there's no evolution in it. There's morphology. I was studying the morphology of it. I was breaking all of it down. And yeah, I guess I have to be vague, guys. I guess I just have to be vague. And I can feel when I go really advanced into the science. And that's when I can break it down to you got a tree in your radiator. I can do that. Yeah, you got a tree in your radiator. But never lose perspective over the truth. Never lose perspective over the truth. That's what grounds you. You want to ground yourself? Tell the truth. That's really it right there. You want to do self-care? Tell the truth. You want to do self-care? Tell the truth. That is true self-care. That's what I do for self-care. I tell the truth. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to tell you is when you don't lie, you look young. I had 40 years of trauma. Do I look like I had 40 years of trauma? I have watched my hair go gray and then I've watched it come back to color. I watched my hair go gray and then come back to color. I watched my face de-age 10 years. Lie is a poison inside of you. It's literally a mental poison. It's a logic poison. Every lie you tell is a poison right into your logical comprehension. And it is disintegration. It just rots your brain and it just cleans it out. It's done for. There's a timer on it. I can see the countdown. It drives me crazy every fucking day. Lying is a poison. And you have officially absorbed too many lies, and now nothing can hold itself up. So, tell the truth. When you tell the truth, it also points you, first it points you to the right direction. Second of all, it cures your sophistic abuse and it cures your mental illness. You start to feel the emotions shift as you tell the truth. Oh my God, do they? Because it rewires your logical code. After a while, you can feel it happening. The more truth you tell, the more it will switch your brain, and the more you'll go, oh, the more truth you tell, the more it switches your brain. Now, I noticed there were 3 kinds of switches. The first kind of switch will change it from a toxin, let's just call it illogic, and it will switch it over to a logic. That's really, really good. You do that, and the whole thing turns into this code right down the whole chain, and it goes away. The second type is a switch that fills in the hole. So you basically have gaps in your comprehension, and you just need to fill it in. That will pick up your dropped stitch and allow the code to continue. And the next one is turning on, activating. That's it right there. You have activation switches. You have purging switches, and you have dropped stitches. Those are the three types of memories you have. Those are the three types of everything you've got. It's all logic. It's these three logics. Either you are dealing with an invasive logic that's incorrect, it's a lie, or it's missing and it's just absent, or it's not turned on. So now I can look at every mental illness and go, okay, lie, absent, absent. This isn't turned on. That's a lie, and that's absent. There's the combination. And it's done with each and every person, each and every code, because you can read the code. It's that clear. And suddenly you can see every order of every operation. It's exactly like molecules. You know how chemists can look at molecules? There it is. You know how chemists can look at molecules and go, oh, that's a carbon. I can do that with logical code. That is what I do. I can look at logical code and go, oh, that's a yeah. I can see the logical code of a lot. I can see a lot. And it's literally a where are you? And there's also like this stretch, but it's like it's a spiral. And we're all moving along it. So it's like there's this film, and the film is going along. And it's one of those things that just keeps going like this. And in the meantime, it's going forward, and the people have to keep up with it. But you get people who turn around, they go backwards, other people. And that's exactly it. We are on one of those eternal wheelie flip books. There you go. And time moves a certain speed, but the synapses in our brains has to match it. The synapses in your brain has to match the same frequency as time itself. And when you're not learning, you're not keeping up. You're disintegrating because you're slowing down, because you're shutting down. So while everyone is screaming how to fix the world, I'm going, mental illness is the problem. But it's not even mental illness. Logic is the problem. Just logic. Logic is the problem. Logic is God, logos, God's word, God's logic, same thing. God's logic, logic. It's logic. That literally is logic. That's a logical proof. Yeah, that's like the first logical proof. If A equals B and if B equals C, then A equals C. That's the first logical proof. You know, all of this would be fixed if you just changed the word mathematics to logic. Let's do that instead. All of the math you learned was not math at all. It was logic. All of the math you ever learned was never math at all. It was logic. All of the math that you learned was never math. It was logic. Fix that lie. See what it does for your brain. Logic is math's true name. Look for the logic in the mathematics. Look for the logic in the mathematics. Look for the logic in the music. Oh, it's all over the place over there. Musicians whore themselves out like little sluts. They really do. I am one. It's what we do. It's a free spirit. Woohoo! I never made it beyond 2 years old and life is great. It's a party. I love musicians. They are my people. Oh, musicians are so much fun. The logic is in math. The logic is in music. Those are the two big ones where you can see it the easiest. And you are looking for the pattern point greater than less than point. That's it. It's the Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence, here I'm going to show you. I could do that actually. Let me think about that. I know how to say this to you. I know how to say this to you now so you'll understand it. The Fibonacci sequence is one part of the integrated whole. I found the other three parts. There. The Fibonacci sequence is one part. I got it. I'm very happy. The Fibonacci sequence represents one part of this formula. There are three other parts, but one of the parts is identical to the first. So really there's two other parts. There's three total, but because they start over, you got to have that pattern. So there's four, which is why I say four. Guys, come on. 4 data points, never 3. Because 3 data points and you wouldn't be able to see this. You need 4 data points. You must always have 4 data points in mathematics. Fix that. Watch your numbers change. 4 data points. You need 4 data points in all research, not 3. It fucks up the math. So that's what it is the Fibonacci sequence was literally one part of 4. And when you start to break it down and you combine it with the others, you see a completely different everything. It's not this lone thing anymore. It's not an anomaly. The Fibonacci sequence is not an anomaly. It is the part of a pattern. God, this feels so good. I think I finally found the words. The Fibonacci sequence is part of a pattern. It's not an anomaly. Mathematicians, listen to what I'm saying. It's part of a pattern. And I found the other data points, so I know exactly what the Fibonacci sequence is. And when you find the other 3 pieces, you see a whole okay, I understand. Integration. Got it. Always integration. Always integration. I knew there was one word I could say that if I could just say this one word, it would be everything you needed to hear to understand. Like Chronos. There is something called the mythological golden age. The mythological golden age shows up in the story every time. I've run the logical code through so many times, and this ends with the mythical golden age. But I know that we're on a rotation, so I know that the mythical golden age has not yet happened, which means we are coming upon the mythical golden age. Because we're in a mirror, and when you're on the wrong side of the mirror, you think the past is the present, when really sometimes it's the future. This is why it's important that you stand in the truth at the Rata and nowhere else. Because then you start to, well, you end up on the wrong side of the mirror. You live in a place that's called backwards land because you're on the wrong side of the mirror. So we are coming upon the golden age. Plato is the one who wrote down all these testaments. All of our Greek mythology comes from Homer and Plato. Homer had it. He had the 12 ethics. Homer had the 12 ethics. Oh, God, not Homer Simpson. What the fuck is that shit? He doesn't have a first name. It's Homer. Where did he? 8th century BCE. 8th century. (700) BCE. 700 BCE. Solomon was 1000 BCE, and Pythagoras was 400. Same thing with Zoroaster. Homer had the 12 ethics. 700 BC, it got to Homer. A quarrel between Agamemnon and the warrior Achilles. Trojan War, Ithaca. Where did you study, dude? Nonetheless, the aims of Homeric studies have changed over the course of the millennia. The earliest preserved comments on Homer concerned his treatment of the gods, which hostile critics such as the poet Xenophanes of Colophon denounced as immoral. Okay, where did he study? As a result of the poem's prominence in classic rigorous education, extensive commentaries on them developed to explain parts that were culturally or linguistically difficult. Many interpreters, especially the Stoics, who believed that Homeric poems conveyed strict doctrines, regard them as allegories containing hidden wisdom. They were right. Perhaps partially because of the Homeric poems' extensive use in education, many authors believe that Homer's original purpose has been to educate. Yes, guys, that's the point. Yes. The Homer's wisdom became so widely praised that he began to acquire the image of mostly a prototypical philosopher. Byzantine scholars such as Eustace of Thessalonica and John Tzetzes produced commentaries, extensions, and scholia to Homer, especially in the 12th century. Now I'm interested in Homer. I read the Homeric poems. I devoured them. Well, I know the 12 trials. Okay, so the 20 years that he's lost at sea, that's the pilgrimage. That's easy peasy. I have been running through things like that, like the logic of I'm going to salt my land and to prove I'm not insane, I'm not going to run over my child. Like I did so much psychoanalysis on Achilles. When they showed him dressed up as a woman hiding with the women, I'm going, what is the psychological implication of that? And I was 10. I remember doing that at 10. I was going like, yeah, what is the psychological implication of that at age 10? So I studied a lot of Achilles, trying to figure out, well, homosexuality. That opened an amazing door. Homer, I cannot believe. I really want to dig so deep into what little we know about him just to, that is so tempting. That is like, is there any connection? That's it. Is there any connection? I just want to see where he's from and who influenced him. That's what I want. I want to know who influenced him. That'll tell me everything. Like, where did you live? Where did you study? Who did you talk to? Who did you sleep with, Homer? And that's all it is a where was he? Because wherever he was, absorbed it. You can't walk into a city and not take in its culture. So yes, your heritage is a part of your mental health. I have had a very long-standing relationship with mine, and not accepting your heritage is going to lead to mental health. Not knowing what your heritage is vital. To know your heritage is follow your intuition. Your intuition will bring you back home. If you want it done simply, just do a swab test and have it go through the mail, and you'll get your answer. But look at the heritage and the culture in there. It's the parts of your heritage that grounds you to your power, to your truth. It all starts with your heritage. That is going to be your soul, and that is going to be your truth. That is going to be your home. It is your grounding point. That is your very first grounding point. Now, it's not all of who you are. It's just that start of who you are. And you might take on both heritages. You might take on one of the heritage, and I can feel this. It used to be naturally, this is how it feels. It would feel like two people coming together. Okay, for genetic purposes, for biological purposes, let's say a man and a woman come together and they have a child. So there's your 1 + 1 = 1. And then after your child, you're going to have a heritage. Basically, your heritage does not get chosen for you. Nature chooses your heritage. So let's use my example, for instance. My mom is Irish and my dad is British. And that went down into the child, and now the child is going to go to either heritage. I went to the Irish heritage. I have probably 90% Irish and 10% British in me until you get the humor in there, and then I go, yeah, so I'm going to have to like work that out. But I definitely have a dominant Irish part of me for that heritage. And I know I got Scottish in there because that's where the bagpipes, and I already did this. My name is McFarland. So now I've got this massive amount of, and this is just passing down. This is what passes down. So now I'm to go nourish that culture because that's my heritage. And by participating in the heritage, this explains why every St. Patrick's, I just can't sit still. And I'm like, I just got to go be with kin. And same thing with Scotland. There were things about her that I just pulled out. So you're going to feel like a little bit of everything. And that is your heritage working. That's a great example of your integrated heritage. You're going to have, and this is such a huge part of our mental health. I was not allowed to choose my heritage. It was chosen for me. And it was not mine at all. I was British is what I was. German would be tolerated, but we were not Irish. And I was nothing but Irish. I was pure Irish. And with a little bit of Scottish. And it couldn't, it was a level of abuse, literally interfamily racism. I had an interfamily racism. It was unbearable. I had a Black cousin who my grandfather would say the N-word to. My best friend was my Black cousin. And I got to hear my family say things about her because she was Black. And it was so horrible. And then I was her best friend, so I got to cry with her. Well, she told me what they said. And I got the same abuse in my home between the Irish and the British. My mom was only allowed her Irish music when she was alone. So it's something we just don't talk about. And it's such a huge part of us. Ideally, you let the child decide what's your heritage going to be. I see a heritage party where, and that's it, a heritage party. Oh, Americans need this. A heritage party where, this is for teenagers, heritage party, teenagers. And whatever heritage you choose for you, that's your heritage. Choose your heritage. It chooses you. That is Mother Nature through and through. That's where your magic is. That's where all your magic is. You have to align with your home magic, which is matched to your heritage. That's where you belong. It does not have to make any kind of sense other than at some point your energy spent a lot of time in that region. And sometimes I feel like there's really nothing more for me to do than to just talk and tell you what I know. I have no interest in, this belongs to the world. This belongs to the world. It is not to be trademarked. This belongs to the world. The idea of treating it like a normal business was disgusting to me. You don't find the cure to disease and keep it to yourself and charge money. That's just dirty. It's so fucking dirty. And that's what I had everyone advising me to do. And I'm just like, that's filthy. I can't do that. You don't take the knowledge I have and then hoard it. You get it to the fucking top. But I couldn't get it to the top unless I made myself visible. That was hard. Was making myself visible. I was terrified of them finding me for a very long time. Because you don't know what I know. And I say things that I know are controversial. But they're truth. And I get a lot of pushback. And I just have to keep pushing through. Because this is true. The logic says so. Try to prove me wrong. The problem is, the more you try and prove me wrong, the more you will see I am right. So please, prove me wrong. The moment you can't prove me wrong, some people will either be convinced or they will go to, well, that's my opinion. Or they'll just quit the logic and walk away. Those are the people who are not ready. And that's what I've been watching. That's what I've been going through for the last couple years now. And so this is Anna's weird shit. I do this often where I try something out, I play around with it, I see if it fits and it feels good. And if it's making me miserable, I say, fuck that shit. We're going to try something different. So every now and then I change the channel on my podcast. Every now and then I change the way I teach. Every now and then I try something different until I see something that works. Because it's got to work for you and it's got to work for me. And we just got to figure out how the hell we're going to do that. I like Anna's weird shit. Anna Imagination and her weird shit. We're going to do this. So Anna Imagination and her weird shit. That's it. And her weird shit. And that's all I can really say. So, you know, I'm tired of holding my breath. I sometimes look at certain things and I'm trying to hold my breath, let it slip away. Don't let this moment end, ever the dream in me. Getting colder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand, come share it with me. 'Cause darling, without you, all the stars I don't want to be this love story. That was not a fun love story. I did not want to be this love story. This was not a love story I loved. I hated this love story. don't want my story to end here. You set off a dream in me, getting louder now. I sang that song so much that I manifested it. And it's just... And I'm just going to tell my story the way I know how to tell my story. When you get to that point where you love so deep, where nothing else can fulfill you, that you just feel like there's never enough. Because they are your love. And without them, you have nothing. That's love. That's exactly how it's done. It's the agreement that I am going to be bonded to you like a molecule, so that if ever we do resource positioning and you die, I will self-implode and die with you. How romantic, says the nucleus to the proton. This is exactly how relationships are in science talk. It's like you're swapping loves. It's like you're swapping hearts. It's exactly like that. You're swapping hearts. It's a heart swap. It's a heart swap. That's exactly what it is. It's intertwining in the integration of the core into one. You have reached integration. And after you integrate, you're going to have to disintegrate. But if there's a bond, this is where the math ends, and I haven't been able to go further. So when I find something that works, I stick with it. But finding what works is the problem. I think what works is when I have an open... I feel obligated to tell people the shit I know. I feel obligated. I feel like it would be horrible of me if I told no one this. In fact, this stuff is so important that I can't do anything else but this. Because it's not negotiable. You have to do this. Because you find something so fucking amazing, so fucking incredible, that you have no choice but to do this. And you sit back and you say, what would be faster if I give it directly to the people or if I put it through the top? I have tried both. The people at the top don't want this. I come down to the bottom again. The people at the bottom don't want it. And I'm going, interesting. What am I doing wrong? And I just can't figure it out. I have done everything everyone has told me, and none of it worked. I have paid a lot of money for people to come in, and everyone tried to do it, and nothing worked. I have fished my way through scams, fished my way out of Scanned, broke down the psychology of it, and then added it to my curriculum. And the only question I have left is, how am I going to wake them up so that they care? You have to care, and you have to believe. You have to care, and you have to believe. I need to wake up, Sleeping Beauty. Once upon a time, I was on Zoloft. It was the one time I was like 1 year of Zoloft. My doctor gave it to me. No follow-up, no questions, no nothing. It was about 6 months in when I noticed I was dead to the world. I couldn't feel anything. I could not feel anything. I didn't notice. I watched my son bite my daughter. She screamed and cried, and I couldn't feel a thing. I could not feel a thing. And I went, I should care. I should care. But I don't. That woke me up. The second time that this happened to me is when I was being raped. I was locked in a basement, and I didn't care. I can't handle being in a room with the door closed, alone with a man, ever. That does not work for me, let alone it being locked. And I had no radar go off. No radar. None. And I went, what the fuck is going on? That my self-preservation system shut down? Like, really? My self-preservation shut down. I had been drugged that much. And then I was able to make that connection and go, I know what's going on. It was because I noticed that I should care. And I didn't. I wasn't. That was an alarm bell in my head that there were problems, that there was something wrong, that my brain was eating itself. And your brain eats itself. Brains eat themselves when you don't use them. That's resource partitioning. It's resource partitioning. I couldn't, it's not exercise that keeps you healthy and young. It's your brain. Exercise helps, but it's your brain. Your brain is everything. But you're not restoring your brain. You're not recharging your brain. How do you think your brain restores itself? It's a battery. It has to learn, literally shed its scales. It's equivalent to shedding its scales. It sheds its own scales. Your brain is a living thing. It sheds its own scales. And if you don't have an epiphany, you're not cleaning away the scales. So then it gets a growth. And that growth turns into literally every disease you can think of. And then it starts to rot the brain because your synapses didn't clean up after themselves, because you haven't had an epiphany in a long time. My epiphanies are anywhere from 2 to 5 a day. 2 to 5 a day. I go, oh my God, 2 times to 5 times every day. It's like my motto, oh my God. And it's supposed to be that way. And it washes your brain. So I loved The Greatest Showman on so many fucking levels. This is Anna Imagination and her weird shit. I just don't do good with a schedule. I just don't do good with a schedule. I don't know what to do. I cannot do structure, guys. I cannot. Isn't that ironic? Identity can't do structure. And I think this is my way of going, I can't do structure because my internal being is so fucking structured. I have to have balance. That makes so much sense why I cannot have a schedule. Why I cannot have a schedule. Oh, that's why you're addicted to schedules. Oh, it's not control you're looking for. You're looking for order. You're not looking for control at all. You're looking for order. Oh, okay. So it's an order addiction, not a control addiction. You're trying to put it in the right order. Fascinating. Oh, that is so fascinating. Imagine you trying to set up something, but you don't have the directions. So you're like scrambling, trying to put it all over the place, but it never works. You're trying to put everything in the right order. But it comes off as control. You're not a control freak. You don't have control issues. You are trying to figure out the right order, but you can't figure out the right order. So it's materialized in the present while you try and figure out the right order for everything. But it's deteriorated to that point. That is because you've lost logic to the point where you can't even organize on the outside. Wow. Okay. Logic is your organization skill. It's how you order things. It's when you start to lose catalysts, which means the psychologists are sick because they never fix the problem, which means you're all just sick. You're all just sick. You all have the same disease. It's just one disease. I know because I had it. Your brain is resource partitioning itself because you're not using it. So the epiphany chemicals are not washing your brain, which should be going on at least 2 to 3 times a day. When was the last time you had an epiphany? Have you ever had an epiphany? Do you know what an epiphany feels like? I broke down the science of epiphanies, how to bring them, how to cause them. I found the formula where you need X amount of epiphanies per perspective, or the brain will start to deteriorate itself. You will start to see ethical deterioration as a side effect. Ethical deterioration. There it is. Ethical deterioration. God, this is. And literally, it would just be Sophie's world would take care of the logic. Music theory. This is the prescription. Sophie's world. Music theory. I'm going to say Walter Piston. Well, I'm going to go with geometry. And physics, which is also in music. So yeah. So music theory, physics. I would still partner it up with physics. All right. So to cure your mental illnesses, you'll want to start here. Sophie's world, music theory, Walter Piston, geometry, and physics. Start there. The next thing would be, I can't think of what it's called. The next 3 books on my recommended reading list. See if we can simplify this down even easier. I can get this down to movies for you guys. So you just watch the movies and then I just tell you what the movies are about and I show you the perspective. Or I'll give you assignments prior to the movie. I've already got this written out. We'll just play the game. We'll just play the game. We will just play the game. That's it. Everyone can play this game. I'm going to go ahead and write out the assignment and then you can just play the game through. Just play the game. I got this. Just play the game. This is really hard for me. Just play the game. I don't play very often. I don't know how to play. I learned how to play with a man. He taught me how to play. Yeah. He taught me how to play. So, the game. My brain is firing so fast right now, and I can't even. It's doing the flipper book thing again. My flip book, and when it does the flip book, I can't. It's not even an ooh. It's in processing all of it. Like that's the direction it's going. There is a point where you make the manifestation and you see it play out. You literally say the manifestation and you can see it play out. And you look for the right one until it's the most highest probability. And so you choose the highest probability one of the way you want. And then you run through all these other logical codes to see what the probability is compared to that one. Once you realize that that's the probability of that one code, then you build the next one. You go for most logical and highest probability. And the choices you make here affect the probability. So you make good choices here and you raise the probability of other things happening, depending upon what you want to happen. And then you can start weaving together the code, however it is you want it, from point A to over to point B. It's absolutely beautiful how it works. It is the most beautiful thing in the world. It is the world. Sometimes it feels supernatural over here, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it feels very ethereal, and sometimes it doesn't. And on the days that it doesn't, it's very surreal for me. It's at a point where on the days that I guess I just let it have to come. And that's the thing, is you start to see the next future unroll and you see where it's going and what's going on. And you realize more and more, the more you see, that the safer and the okay it will all be. The problem is, it's a very delicate calculation. It's a very delicate calculation. My daughter wished for fall, and here it was. She's like, oh, it's August 1st. It's fall. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. I think you just took away everyone's late summer. And she did. She took away everyone's late summer. We have fall now. There's fall now. Boom, fall starts August 1st. No late summer for you. Late summer is now July. Okay. There she and thus saith her. Yep, thus saith her. What joy. So with the game, it would be simplifying it into a just do this. And here's my problem. That would be unethical to just do this. I cannot just do that. I can't tell him to just do this. That's like, I have to fine print this shit. You want me to fine? So this has been a fine print, like up to this point has been all the fine print of, I'm going to tell you to do some really weird shit in the next order of just do this shit. And it's going to set off this massive chain reaction of all of this really awesome shit. And you have to consent to it. You have to consent to it, which means you need to know what it is I'm doing. So the whole video for all of this 55 plus video playlist has been nothing but the fine print so that you fully understand risk aware consensual kink, exactly what it is that we are going to be having you do. Because some of it's going to be a go watch this movie. And sometimes it's going to be go color with your children with the crayons. And we're going to have levels of challenges. The challenges are going to range from the daredevil level to the can I please have the kiddie pool, which is okay. We all love the kiddie pool. Everyone's like, can I just have a big? So there's going to be the kiddie pool section. There's going to be the daredevil section. And then there's going to be we're going to call it the Olympics section. And that challenge is the be reasonable. Don't be insane. The Olympics are now reasonable. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. The Olympics are reasonable. There is no reason why all of you should not be at the Olympics. Why aren't you at the Olympics? Why aren't more of you participating with the Olympics? Where are my high achievers? Why aren't my low achievers becoming mediocrity? Why isn't my mediocrity becoming champions? What the fuck is going on here, guys? So that is why Olympics is the new norm. Olympics is the new norm. We are doing the opposite of lowering the bar for the standard so no one gets left behind. We're going to go the other extreme because this is learning. We've all indulged on lowering the bar. Now I'm going to come over here and indulge on raising the bar to the Olympic standard. So there's the Olympics standard, which is where everyone should be at. That's why it's the Olympics. Love the Olympics. Now, if this intimidates you, it's okay. We got a kiddie pool. If you feel that you are supreme and better than the Olympics and you're beating your chest like an ape, we got Daredevil for you. There you go. Daredevil is going to have our XXX rated and our PG version. Because, oh yeah, that's how I go. I'm going to say this is for people who are 18 plus and older. But I don't want to say that. Because, I mean, for the Daredevil section, definitely, yeah. But I mean, like, yeah. It's amazing how when you're speaking a language and somebody hears the language and then they damn you for it or they judge you for it, and you may have just said the wrong word. And that's a really real thing. That is a fucking real thing. What's going on in those scenarios is your logic is trying to correct itself. That's what's going on. Every time you stutter, your logic is going, nope, that's not logical. We're going to stop you from being logical. I believe that there is a death point in logical code. Death point scares the fuck out of me. And it should fuck the scare out of you too. Fuck the scare. Death point. Death point is the point of logical gridlock where your brain literally freezes into gridlock because it literally cannot move without another catch-22 going off. This scares the fuck out of me. I'm seeing it in people. The other thing I have seen in people at death point is when they are so illogical that they can't even string a sentence. They can't even string a sentence. The logic is in the words. The more you chop down and break down the sentence, the more you're breaking down logic itself. Logic is inside the words because logic is word. Or were you not listening to that part of the Bible? God's word. Word is logic. God is logic, which is why he was referred to as Logos, Logi, Loki. Logi was a magi. Magician, logician, logos, God. The logi are the gods. All right. So after magi, you'll get logi. I'm at sage. Okay. All right. It was funny. I was looking for that for a long time. So God is word. So you're speaking love all the time, or you're speaking hate. Everything we speak is literally the logical creation code. Everything we speak. Everything we say. But the majority of what you say is going to be in the summation, which makes up your emotional, mental environment in your subconscious mind. It's not just what you think, it's what you feel, it's what you haven't said. It's your lies, specifically the lies you're telling yourself. Self-honesty is a skill. I will be teaching you this skill. Self-honesty is a skill. Self-honesty is the feeling you get when you value the truth and mental health more than anything else. No matter what. It's when you value truth and mental health, no matter what. Absolutely no matter what. And it's you confronting your own ego. It's you having a sit down with your own ego. And fear. And defense system. And self-preservation. And you tell your ego, fear, defense, and self-preservation system that you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine, but you've got to know what you're dealing with. And that you value mental health and truth more than anything else. And then you find that courage. And that's when you, all right, resolve to prioritize truth. Resolve to prioritize truth. This is the first stage of healing. Resolve to prioritize truth. There is no going beyond this point. This is the first point. If you do not resolve to prioritize truth, you are not going to heal. It will not happen. And this is where I could easily say, here's like these mantras, here's these mantras, here's these mantras. And it would be definitely a, which journey do you want to go down? Yeah. Yeah. It would definitely be sending you down a journey, so that if you are in the group A, that's the gentle side. And then you would have an entirely different set of instructions to go. And then you could, it's going to take you longer. It is a much longer path. It is a much longer path. That works out for me fantastic. Where I stand here as your NPC saying, oh, you've come to me for a quest. You're back again. And then I would ask you something akin to, what do you want? You probably want a quest. That's why you're here. So then I would give you a quest. I would also give you probably options of, here, do you want this little, oh yeah, we could totally do that. Would be awesome. And I would have the main quest line for you. And then I would have the small pieces of the quests. And then you go off and you do them. Oh yes, I could definitely get into this. This is the construct I've been seeing in my head now for like 3 years. And I'm like, I see it going this way. I see it going this way. And I'm just like, I just got to get up the nerve to just do it. And I just, the problem is you can't play the game without the disclaimer. And this was the huge part of the ethical logic I was stuck with. How the fuck do I play the game with you guys without giving you the disclaimer? Risk-aware consensual kink. The stuff that this game is made up is designed to literally walk you through a pilgrimage and turn you into a god. Now, the first 2 stages just get you happy and healthy. That's it. Happy and healthy. This is called the healing stage. And then there's the transition stage between Triadic Healing Part 2 and Triadic Healing Part 3. And that part is where you're going to enter into a pilgrimage. And then you get into the pilgrimage and you get into the magi. No, wizard. It's the wizard. It's the pilgrim and then the wizard. And then after the wizard, you walk into the magi section. I am in the wizarding section right now. I am putting together the wizarding section. I'm very excited. Very excited. So it's literally you got to go through the stages. And you can take as much as you want, as little as you want, but you cannot jump in the middle. You cannot start at Triadic Healing Part 2. You cannot start at Triadic Healing Part 3. If you have not done Triadic Healing Part 1, you will not go on to anything else. That's just not going to happen. So what I can do is, the best way to set this up is like this. I am going to record my NPCs as needed with the instructions for the game. You're the one who has to figure out, and I'm going to be walking you through the entire game from beginning to end. One walkthrough. This is the game. But before you begin, you're going to have to watch the disclaimer. You're going to have to watch the disclaimer. That is mandatory. And if you have not watched the disclaimer, it's not on me what happens to you. Play at your own risk. Play at your own risk. If you are suicidal, please do not play without the discussion and supervision of an ethical professional, preferably one who is familiar with my work. So find a professional to get interested in my work. But there are several other programs I have for people with suicide problems where it will walk you through what you need. That is really important to me, including all the resources you need. We are also building a facility just for that, as far as how we can put that together. But I will be doing the NPC instructions. And then what I will be doing is you are going to have to figure out which level you are playing as and how fast you want to go. How much of a priority it is. If it's a low priority, you're not going to get through it. You will not get through it. If you want to get it through it fast, you can. It's going to depend on a lot. It's going to depend on primarily your logic skills versus your resistance. In fact, the precise formula for that is your pain and suffering has to be, and your pain and suffering and your reward on investment has to be greater than your risk and the work it will take to change. So that is the formula. If you do not have that formula straightened out, you are not going to change. You need to suffer more than and have a return higher than the risk it's going to take to change and the work it'll change. And your resistance to that change is going to be a massive factor in how much work it's going to take to change. Your resistance is going to either increase or decrease. If you have no resistance, then it will decrease the work. Your resistance is the friction to your drag. That's right. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that down. That's like an Anna-ism. We got to keep that one. Your resistance is the friction to your drag. Oh yeah. That is like levels of cheesy. I just got to say, that's up there. Your resistance is the friction of your drag. So think about how much energy you are now putting into just your resistance. So you are your own resistance. Stop it. And there you have it. You are your own resistance. So you need to have a conversation with your resistance. And that's where your self-preservation sleeps. Your self-preservation is a lot like Jerry Smith from Rick and Morty. Just like mine was. That's why I call my subconscious mind Jerry. Because he would go into a pill bug every now and then. And I'm like, dude. And the worst part about Jerry Smith being your self-preservation system, this is the worst part, is everything is, oh my God, what is happening? And it's just, you don't want that in your brain, but that's exactly what you've got in your brain. That's what everybody has in their brain. Jerry Smith is running your subconscious mind. That was all the motivation I needed to go, oh no, fuck that shit. I'm changing that. And I did. So you'll also have to choose your difficulty rating. And I'm very excited. And then to get your assignment, you would go to the same place. That would be on the Traumatic Healing, the game. And then you could go down and check mark off what you needed and what you wanted. So that was where I kept running into a problem, was I couldn't do the game and I couldn't start anything without trying to figure out how to give you full risk-aware consensual kink instructions. And I'm like, I have no idea how to explain this to people. So I had to find that nice, and this is the most irritating thing is this was literally the only way I could get around to do any of my marketing. So now I can say in my ads, in very, very simple thing, and then please make sure you read our fine print on the website. That's it. So now I can just tell you the truth, everything. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And then underneath it is, please review our ethical values. Like, you need to know what the issue is, because touching our products, you're not going to be the same. And that's what I've been trying to say to you. You're not going to be the same. It will change you. It will make you into who you are. It will make you into who you want to be. But you need to understand that you are going to be forced to face yourself in all of your truth. And when you are doing that, existential crisis, catatonic state, so it's a matter of making sure that you do what you are told in the right order. Because if you don't, I know exactly what will happen. Because you don't write a code like this without making sure it is fucking flawless. And when you go through the program, it literally resets your mind at every single stage, walking you through precisely what you need at the right time. It is the exact same one I used. And it's the full disintegration code, integration code to restore and reset your subconscious mind in the right order of operations. And all you have to do is play. All you have to do is play. You do not have to learn. You have to learn. You're going to learn, but you're going to learn the right way. But it's not at all what you think learning is. This is a completely different type of learning. This is the way you were supposed to learn, through games and activities and stuff. And it's why I hate teaching so much, is because why aren't you playing? Everyone needs to be playing right now. That is all we are supposed to be doing, is playing. I'm waiting for the day where people just say, fuck it, I quit. And it's going to happen. It's starting to happen with the NEETs. The people who are going, no, I refuse to work until I know what happiness is. I'm going to sit here and figure out what happiness is. Those are my people. Those are my people. Those are the people who say, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and think about shit. And that's when you start to realize that there's a lot more out there. Everyone needs to smoke weed. Everybody needs to smoke weed. That's right. We need to smoke weed and ask the hard questions. And I mean the hard questions. The hard questions like, why am I not fulfilled? Why am I not fulfilled? I know exactly what questions to ask you to get your brain going in the right direction. Why don't you know who you are? Why don't you know? Why do you think that's normal? You're supposed to know who you are. You are absolutely supposed to know who you are. You are 100% supposed to know who you are. I'm going to call this NEETs television. NEETs television. That's right. Television for NEETs. Is that the word, Liz? NEETs? Welcome to NEETs TV. NEETs TV. Oh, no, I'm doing it. NEETs. NEETs. Is that what these are called? Not in employment, education, or training. NEETs. My people. Oh, I love my NEETs. Woohoo. I love NEETs. Okay, so NEETs are people who are not in employment, education, or in training. I love NEETs. And I will tell you why I love NEETs. Because NEETs are, I'm a NEET. I am a NEET. I was almost, it's weird because my life revolved around my journey, never my job. It never, I was never, my career was my journey. My career was my journey. There's going to be a lot of you like this, where your career is your journey. You want to make this into a career. I did. That's what I did. Some of us walk away going, wow, I am a professional pilgrim. Yep. How the fuck does a professional pilgrim make money? And I'm a professional pilgrim. This is what I've been doing since I was 4 years old when I started playing with the dominoes. And that's it right there. Is I've been a pilgrim for so long, and then there was just this abrupt, oh, we're done, no more pilgrimage. Ah, now what do I do with my life? Magic school. Magic school is here? Okay, I'm staying. So that was all it took to convince me. Somebody dropped like Hogwarts. It's on the other side of science. Why didn't I think of that? Magic is on the other side of science. Sometimes you're going to get so good at science that it's magic. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. And I was so, so happy when I realized we're going into a magical world scientifically. And I'm like, magical science. And I ran the code so many times, and it is the only probability left. And I'm like, yes, there's no other option, guys. No other option. I've checked. Like, magic has to happen now. And I'm like, all right. And then I started to watch the news change. Weird sea creature that no one can identify has washed up, and we have no idea what this is. Lands are returning. And I'm like, yes, the magic's coming back, guys. One of the articles I recently found was people can now report seeing monsters around in the mirrors. Yes, that's my changelings are changing. My changelings are changing. And that's it. And I don't want to write anymore. Not for a long time. I feel like all I have done over the last year is just write, which is great, but I'm all written out. And I want to go back to talking. And I don't want to sit down and write down any more notes. I'm so tired of my notes. And I see things so fast, and I keep thinking, oh my God, I've got to record this shit. Because sometimes it moves so fast, I can't even write down the visions anymore. And I just want to turn it all off and go to sleep sometimes. And I don't know how to do that yet. That is the hardest part of all. Is I feel like there's just no rest. Maybe this is the endurance of, oh, I understand. This is the endurance. This is the endurance. Oh, I'm in an endurance test for magic. Oh, yay. Because this feels exactly like it felt when I did the first run through. The first milestone, it was an endurance test of physical and material pain. Physical and material pain. And then you go through energy burden. Yeah, you go through an energy endurance. So you power up, and it's just hold it, train it. And then it powers up more, and you've got to relearn. You have to use the ethics you just learned to keep shaping it over and over again. And the painful experience of this is, my daughter was saying it. She goes, why does the back of my head hurt? And I'm like, that's normal. That's normal. We've already checked her. We've already ruled out that. But she's like, first it was here, and then it moved back here. I said, yep, you're actually feeling yourself starting to think. That is the start of it, is when you start to, not headaches. Headaches are up here. Those are different. This is like pressure all over your head. I feel constant pressure and it moves depending upon where I think. And that's normal. That's part of it. Still get checked, but it's normal. It's part of it. And then there's severe eye fatigue. And that's just from the amount of activity, because you've got a chemistry lab, an electrical lab, and a battery and a projector in your head. The question is, have you been using your science equipment? Has anyone cleaned out the laboratory at all in their lives? Do you know what laboratory you have inside your brain? Or have you never been inside your laboratory? We are going to call this Brain Lab. Brain Lab. The Brain Lab. Here's the beautiful thing about all academic discipline. They put the most important parts in the very beginning. They put the most important parts in the very beginning. So if you read just the very beginning of every subject, you have the most important parts of every subject. But you got to find the beginning. You've got to find the beginning. I found the beginning of all of them. And I'm picking apart magic as we speak. But all of them. So I have the most important parts of all. And then from my logic, I could just disintegrate. Because it's logical. So I can't tell if it's a Russian doll or if it's, I wonder if it's a Russian doll. So this is the plan going forward. I'm going to try this out. See how this goes. Anna's weird shit. And her weird shit. Anna imagination and her weird shit. Where we talk about your research, your resource partitioning of brain rejection. Brain rejection. Scientists, I need my scientists. People have resource partitioning of the brain. Resource partitioning of the brain. Think gardening. Go to botany, go to biology. They have your answers. Yeah, that's it. Neuroscientists need to go ask biologists about resource partitioning. That would be really simple. If the neuroscientists just went and talked to the biologists. And the biologists could tell the neuroscientists, yes, we know all about resource partitioning. And then the neuroscientists would go, wow, what's that? And then the biologist would say, it's when a piece of the main organism destroys itself because it's not in use. And so they decide to sever it, kind of like when we had webbed hands and we didn't need these anymore. So we used resource partitioning to get it away. They figured, hey, they weren't using their brain. They don't need this anymore. Let's resource partition this thing. And there you have mental illness. Well, the next stage of mental illness, that's when you have disease. Resource partitioning. It's something I noticed is that the more educated a person, the fewer diseases they had. But they had to be educated. I noticed wise men almost never have. Wise men almost never have disease. They live until they're like 150, 160. Now we know how Adam lived to be like 1,000 years old. It's literally like regenerating, like the doctor, regenerating all the time. But you're doing it all the time and constantly. as opposed to, and that's evolution. That is evolution. It is when your logical code has to keep writing itself. You're evolving. It is literally your evolution. Your psychology is your evolution. Your psychology is evolution. Oh, no. Biologists need to be psychologists. No. This is advanced. This is fucking advanced. You are not qualified to be a psychologist unless you have biology under you. No, you don't. Psychology is evolution, pure evolution. No, this is absolute pure logical evolution. Oh, absolutely. Psychology is evolution. Your evolution is literally slowing down so much, and this has been proven in neuroscience, that we are literally evolving. Our smart people are inventing faster than people are evolving to use what we have. It's like people from World War II bringing back, well, it's like Spock going to World War II and handing Hitler lasers. That's what it's like. And that's what we're seeing, is we're seeing massive scientific equipment with a bunch of Neanderthals who don't know the ethics of using something like that. It's literally resource partitioning. The society has looked at the part of it, and this then amplified out to an entire society where the abundance part, the wealthy part who are using their brains, are now going, well, we're fine. And then we look over and we see the part of society that's already been resource partitioned. We've already separated you from the masses because the middle class is shrinking. That's resource partitioning. It's already started. You're disintegrating. That's why we have resource partitioning. It's societal disintegration. The problem is the poor people, the uneducated people are the ones going down, not the wealthy and abundant, because that's not how resource partitioning works. You need to study biology to understand that. And a psychologist would have caught this if they had studied biology. But they don't. No one in NIM does. There has got to be a mandatory, professionals need to have a meeting at least once every 3 months and educate each other and talk. Like, this needs to be a representative of every scientific field, a representative of physics, a representative of neuroscience, a representative of mathematics. In fact, I want that. And then I want those people to come forward, and I'm going to set you up and have you talk to each other. And then I'm going to show you how I see the world. Because that's how I see the world. That is exactly how I see the world. So I can see things that people can't see because they don't have 10 scientists, each from a different profession, inside their head, drawing the same conclusions back and forth, seeing the connections. Psychology isn't even in the room. Psychology is not even in the room. It doesn't have to be, because all of this is psychology. It's literally the core pulse of breath. From breath goes psychology. And then from psychology goes the material plane. And there it is, right there. From breath goes psychology, goes psyche. There it is. I was looking for you. I was looking for the Greek to show up. So from breath. So now the question is, what is the Greek word for breath? Ancient Greek breath. Pneuma. Like pneumonia. Pneuma. Pneuma. In Greek tragedy, pneuma is used to refer to the breath of life. You gotta love the Greeks. They had this all right. Yep. Pneuma. You know it's right when you think it up logically and then you do the science research and you find out, oh, look at that. The Greeks made the same conclusion as I did. You know it's right when you reverse engineer something and when you look it up, it matches the geniuses who invented it the first round. It is also used in Greek translations of the Hebrew Bible, ruach. I do not speak, that would be ruach. And in the Greek New Testament, the Bible mentions the breath of God through the use of pneuma in many places, including Genesis, John, and all right, that is beautiful. Oh, that is just beautiful. Pneuma means spirit or breath or wind. Yup, like this is spot on. This is absolutely spot on. So it goes pneuma to psyche. To corpus. There's one missing in there. No, breath is word. Breath, pneuma. That's, yeah, well, yeah. It's word. It's the same thing. So breath and word and logos are all the same thing. And then from there, it goes pneuma, psyche, corpus, as in body. So it is breath, mind, body. That is where it got wrong. There's the illogical fallacy. You guys said mind, body, spirit, not mind, body, spirit. It is spirit, mind, body. That is the right order of operations. Spirit, mind, and then body. The body feels it last. The spirit feels it first. The breath, the word, and the logic are first. And then from there, it forms the mind. So now you're looking at the spell. So you say the spell, it then goes over into the mind. Now you're looking at the logistics of it. And then it goes into the body. That is the materialization stage. Yes, thank you, Lizzie. I would love that. We're going to do the kid thing and have cereal for breakfast or dinner. Cereal for dinner. That's going to be amazing.
No, I had sushi already. So.
You had your sushi? All right, well, I'm going to have my Reese's Pieces. Like a five. All right. So yeah, there it is. Spirit, mind, and then body. And yeah. So I think it's just going to be I'll do the game. I've got the course material already set up. You can do that on your own. You should be doing it on your own. And then it's just giving you the assignments. Just giving you the assignments. All right. So feels like it's much later than it really is. Thank you. And may the truth always find you.